Hi, today we're working on a 5-inch 3-layer cake. As you see, I've already filled and crumb coated the center. I set it in the freezer for no more than 15 minutes. We're just trying to set the frosting, not freeze the cake. I'm using a cupcake tip here. It's probably a 1M or a 2D because those are my favorite. And we're just going around the cake in a line, keeping it as close as possible, putting a little bit of pressure, trying to make sure that you're pushing it into the cake. It's still not going to completely adhere it, but that's what we're working on today. You see that I went a little bit above the edge to create that, and then I'll fill that in. That will help us to get that sharp edge without digging into the cake. We're using an angled spatula here to clean up that top. You're adhering the frosting to the cake. You're also adhering the top to the sides. Now we've got a dough cutter, a bench scraper, whatever you want to call it. I got that one at the dollar store and it works lovely. So your first time around here is to adhere the icing to the cake. You're not really trying to do much of anything else, but keeping that bench scraper clean, scraping it off every turn or so. And then the second time, you're going to be trying to take off. But right here, I'm filling in spots where I maybe had too much of a gap between my lines, or I didn't have enough pressure. So it's good to just fill in those holes and then go back again. And here you're trying to take off the excess, because you usually do, just put too much on and then pull it back off. It's a great way to keep no crumbs in your cake. And then the third time is to be where you're perfecting the frosting, where you're getting out all the palette lines and you're just laying it against the cake, not digging in. So you're just softly laying it and going around. You're looking for that sharp edge at the top, so a nice solid edge that you can pull in. And this one I just ended up with more holes, and I fought this one more than I normally do. Normally I don't fight it. I will show you a Viva paper towel method a little bit later that helps smooth out all those rough edges, so you don't really need to fight it this much. All right, now we're going to take our angled spatula, just grab that edge and gently pull in. You're getting lighter as you get to the center, and you just pull it in, giving you that nice edge. So we're going to set this aside and let it crust, because American buttercream crusts beautifully, while we work on another cake. And I'll do that when I'm doing production, is I'll work on 3 or 4 cakes at once and get them all base-sized. Okay, so again, we're using that cupcake tip, and it just works so much better than the big side icers to me. I think it just adheres the icing to the cake a little bit better. Doesn't leave you as much gap. So again, we're trying to keep it as straight as possible, as close as possible is the main thing. There is actually a wedding cake in my book that this is the side, is just this cupcake. And wow, it's hard. It looks easy. You think, oh, it's easy. Anytime you think it's easy, run, because it's not going to be easy. So again, we've smoothed out our top. We've got our side comb. And this is the one I used for like party cakes, guy cakes. It's my all around. This is the one I like the best. So that first time you're adhering the icing to the cake. The second time you're pulling off some of the excess, and try to make sure you're not showing any cake. If you do, then grab that cupcake icer and cover that spot again like I did with those holes. And then the third time you're going around to perfect it. Now we're cleaning up our top, just taking our edge and gently pulling it in. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of a bump in the center and you'll need to pull that off, because you don't want that top to be rounded. And then you just gently pull in your edges. You're doing super gentle at that point. Now you flip that spatula over on the clean side and just go around the base of the cake, and it'll clean up any excess frosting on that board. I'm really big on clean boards. Okay, now I'm doing that rustic wrap, and you see I'm just laying it on the side. I'm barely even touching it, and I'm spinning my turntable to get that rustic wrap look. And I love this because it's a really forgiving design, and people are just loving it. So you go all the way up to the top. Sometimes I'll leave a little bit of a rough edge. People like that. Sometimes I clean the edge and leave a nice smooth top. That's how I prefer it because I like to write on a smooth top. But if a customer's not going to have writing, then I'll continue that rustic wrap. I'll clean up this top edge and then I'll just lay that spatula flat and spin the turntable and go in a little bit each time until it's all the way into the center. It just adds some texture to the top of that cake. Again, turning that spatula over and cleaning up the excess frosting at the bottom. Now, I usually don't border the bottom of these rustic wraps. Okay, so this is the Viva towel. You see it doesn't have any texture to it. Any texture is going to rub off into the frosting. And you will notice it. It's amazing. So I'm just going around and looking for any spots where maybe I pulled up the spatula and you've got the line, or I didn't get it quite smooth. And just rub it lightly, super lightly. You're looking, if the paper towel sticks at all, then the frosting's still too wet, or the paper towel has too much moisture. So sometimes you need to shift that paper towel around to keep it at a dry spot. But I will do this. I'll get all my cakes base iced and then go over and just smooth everything out so that I have some nice, you can get buttercream looking like fondant doing this. So there we are. Yay!